Well, hello and welcome back. Thanks for coming back. This, of course, is Cars and Me. And this is a 2001 Honda Jazz, or Honda Fit as it's called in Japan. And of course, as this one is called in Cyprus, because this is where it came to. One of the most practical cars in the world, by the way. And if you're curious to know how much Mr. Paul paid for it, €1,500, which for a car with a H on the back is a very, very reasonable price indeed. And as we can see, apart from the Fit badge missing and one or two fingerprints, this is literally how I have picked it up. It's not been washed, it's not been cleaned, and to be honest, it's in very, very good condition indeed. And literally there is a little scrape on the rear end there, but we're going to leave it like that, by the way, because this is a cheap car by Cyprus standards. I intend to sell it for close to €2,500, hopefully, fingers crossed, and hopefully I can make that little bit of a couple of bob. There's a little dink on the front there, but as I'm sure you've noticed, the tyres are in very good condition, front-wheel drive car, as are the discs if you look through. And if we go to the rear tyres, they're as good as new, there's no doubt about that. Again, the discs are in very, very good condition. So I think this car is going to make a great buy for someone who perhaps wants to use it as a car to commute to work. Lights want a bit of a buff on the front. Common problem in Cyprus, by the way. The sun and the grit eat into the lacquer. But overall, it's in very, very good condition indeed. Little nick on the front bumper, as we can see, and a little crease upon the bonnet. But for a car that's 23 years old, there's no doubt about it, it is very, very clean indeed. There's a little dink on the top there as well, as we can see, but not bad. Do you want to see some of its practicality? Should we have a look in its rear end? Let's have a quick look. Very, very spacious indeed for a little hatchback, by the way. There's no doubt about it. You can get a couple of full-size suitcases up on their sides in there. And of course, the rear seats fold down and it turns into like a little minivan. So perhaps for those special trips to IKEA, this could be that perfect car. Let's have a quick look in the rear, because that's where often people like to sit. Pretty spacious, by the way. And it's also got a little trick up its sleeve. Look at that. Perhaps if you want to carry that strange item, all you do is reach underneath and you're going after this bar here, and you pull it out, and guess what? The whole seat lifts up. To put it back down, there you go. Simple as that. Very spacious in the back. Great little commuting car, there's no doubt about it. Shall we get in and have a look, so you don't just take my word for it? Here we go. There's Mr. Paul. Hello. Plenty of room. Look at that. That's set in my driving position, and I'm only 5'10", but a lot of people say that I sit quite far back, and I do. I like to be relaxed and chilled. But look at that. Plenty of room. And one of the common criticisms on a car is there's not enough bolster support under your thighs. To be honest, in a Honda Jazz, there is plenty, and there's also plenty of headroom as well. So I think it's an absolutely fantastic car. And on top of that, if you buy a Honda, you get a good thud. Remember, this car is 23 years old. It's had 3 owners. Soon it's going to go to its 4th owner, by the way, because it's already actually been sold. Yeah, you heard me correctly. They're like hen's teeth, to use that English phrase. You want to have a quick look on the inside. All the controls started to wear, but of course the person who buys it could take that piece off and respray it and it'd be perfect. Someone's obviously been a smoker. Quite practical. Very, very comfortable seats, and you can adjust the actual length of the bolster, which is quite good, and bring it up and down that little bit. And of course, when you get inside, again, you get that thud, that quality feeling of Honda. Very clear and concise dashboard, there's no doubt about that. Again, very important that you can see all of those dials, and as you can see, there are no warning lights on there except for the handbrake being on, of course. The doors open in the back, and the seatbelt light. It's got a variable transmission automatic gearbox, which not the most reliable thing in the world, but in this case this one's very, very good. I think this is a good idea. A dual zone, as I will call it, glove box, quite practical. A massive shelf along the bottom, which goes all the way through into the driver's side as well. A little cubby there. Anything missing is a cigarette lighter, so perhaps the person who likes to smoke in it has taken it with them, you never know. Two decent sized cup holders, no skimping there, and again some little cubbies between the seats. As I said, automatic gearbox, and it's a variable transmission, so it selects the gears for you. Technically it's got 5 gears, but of course it's actually 1 gear and it works on a belt. But there's no doubt about it, the clarity through the front windscreen is perfect, and the vision as you look out the side into your blind side, shall we say, at the back, that's the bit that always gives you that trouble when you're pulling out of a junction, isn't it? Not bad at all, by the way. See, quite a thick pillar, but of course it's not actually in your line of sight, so if you're pulling out from that blind spot, you should be all right, no doubt about it. Nice size steering wheel and very, very clear instrumentation. Very, very simple to use controls. On these modern cars now, they put them into the menus on the computers and all those kind of things. Makes it very, very difficult. If you want to select where the air is going, or if you want to turn that aircon up, see, ice cold aircon, by the way, pretty sure you can hear it. Temperature control, air conditioning button, heated rear screen. This allows fresh air to come in, or of course the air that's in the car. In Cyprus, because it's so hot, we tend to have it there and we recirculate the same air, and the compressor on the aircon doesn't have to work that hard. Nice little sound system, got great clarity. Not the greatest system in the world, not a Mark Leveson or anything like that, but I tell you what, it really is a smooth little car, there's no doubt about it. So do you want to know some facts and figures on it? Because like I say, Mr. Paul's bought this car for €1,500. In Cyprus, that's a very good price for a car that functions. And when I say functions, it's got no road tax arrears on it. The road tax is paid on this car, less than €60 for the year. It's got an MOT for 2 years. That's how it works in Cyprus, every 2 years, by the way. I think that's a European-wide thing. In the UK, it's only every 12 months. It's got perfect brakes, as we can see. Discs are all lovely. Fabulous tyres. It's done 212,000 kilometers, so that's 125-ish thousand miles. Does 0 to 60 in around about 10 seconds, tops out at about 110 miles an hour. To be honest, you shouldn't be speeding anyway. Picks up faultlessly. The automatic gearbox is ultra smooth. It's got nice simple controls. If you want to run around, I've always said it, probably the 2 best cars in the world, unless you want a fancy badge, unless you want a big fast one, unless you want a jacked up 4-wheel drive, are probably the Honda Jazz or the Toyota Yaris. They both compete in the same market. Obviously, when they're new, they are very expensive cars compared to the likes of a Ford Fiesta, although the Ford Fiesta is no longer in production. That tells you something. Because of these cars, along with the Mazda 2, the Mazda Demio in Europe, are probably the greatest cars in the world. Ultra reliable, very, very cheap to run, very comfortable, and on top of all that, very, very practical. And to be honest, I think Honda has got a little bit of a snob value over Toyota. That's my opinion. That's what I'm saying anyway. So if you want a great practical car, I think the car for you could be a Honda Jazz. I'm going to allow you to feast your eyes and digest upon its controls and its simplicity. Obviously the new ones have got more complicated, but Honda in their great wisdom has always understood their client base and still kept things quite simple. So if you are looking for a practical car, I think perhaps a Honda Jazz could be that car that's waiting especially for you. So we're going to have one final look around it, because like I say, this one is sold, but if you are watching in downtown Paphos and perhaps you do want a Honda Jazz, get in contact with Mr. Paul, and I'm pretty sure that through my connections I can find you a very, very nice one indeed. And this one Remember, it's 23 years old. I'll say that again, 23 years old. It's done 212,000 kilometers, and that is genuine, by the way. Recently been serviced. It's got brand new discs, it's got brand new tires, not put on by me, no, put on by the previous owner. So that tells you quite a lot, that the owner thought quite a lot of this car. And this car hasn't let that owner down for the last 4 years. That person's come into a little bit of money and decided to treat themselves to a newer car. And I think you may have guessed what car that person may have bought. Yep, you've guessed it. Another Honda Jazz. Yeah, so that often is the normality with people who buy Honda Jazzes or buy Toyota Yaris's. They don't let them down. They just decide after a few years perhaps that they may go and upgrade, and when they do, normally they buy another Honda Jazz or another Toyota. Says a lot about the brand, doesn't it? Mr. Paul is always on about it. If you've got a H on the front and a H on the back, or a T on the front and a T on the back, you're not going to go far wrong. So perhaps you should get down to your local used car dealer and get yourself a Honda or a Toyota, or perhaps go to the new dealer and splash out that cash, because I can promise you, you won't go far wrong with buying a Honda. On that note, if you do like what you see, smash that like, smash that subscribe. Please don't forget to keep on coming back for that little bit more of my madness as I take you on the quest for that perfect car, and of course to make a couple of bob along the way. We've got a body shop, we've got a mechanic, so as the time goes on, I'm going to take you on little adventures in the body shop and in the mechanic shop. You might even get to see us to restore a car and hopefully flip it and make those couple of bob. This one cost 1,500 euros. It's been sold for 2,300 euros if you're curious to know. We're going to change the oil and the filter just to be sure. It sounds as sweet as a nut, but we'll put on a ramp and have a quick look. And you never know, we may have made ourselves a little bit of chumping change which will keep us going for a few more weeks. On that note, you can also help us out by buying us a coffee on the virtual platform known as Buy Me a Coffee or Two. And of course you can also join us as a Superstar member, starting off at only 10 euros a month. That's all it costs yourself to get yourself that little bit closer to Mr. Paul. And of course, as time goes on, there will be competitions and giveaways. All you've got to be is a member, and you could be winning something very, very soon indeed. I'm going to say thanks for watching, and of course if you like what you see, hit that like, smash that subscribe. Please don't forget to keep on coming back to the little channel known as Cars and Me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again very, very soon indeed.